My, oh my, oh my. My, oh my, as they say. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hi, YouTube. How are we doing today? Hello, Twitch. How are you doing today, you dirty devils? Pretty simple video. Nothing crazy. As far as the live stream is concerned, probably not going to talk too much throughout the live stream because we are going to be doing artwork. And so my focus will be on that. However, I do have my chat window promptly on the big 55-inch TV. And so I should be able to look up and see if anybody's chatting. Be more than happy to talk to you, answer any questions you may have, and of course, just have a general conversation. A good old conversation. Yes, sir. Yes. And so I've been trying to get to this. My God. I've been trying to get to artwork all damn week. It's just not happening. Thursday, I worked like 17 hours. Friday, I worked 15 hours. Saturday, I worked, I think I worked 10. No, I worked 12 hours. Sunday, I worked 10 hours on Sunday. And I thought I was going to get to some artwork. I decided to take care of some chores. Shit happens. And then as far as the rest of everything, Monday, 12-hour shift. And so now we're on Tuesday, my first day off of the week. And finally, we can start doing some things. Here we are. So, I got my little juice. Got my little juicy box right here. It's good stuff. Good stuff. But obviously, I have a lot of things lined up for YouTube and just general streaming. And I got lessons I want to teach, a lot of how-to videos that are on your way. I want to do all sorts of things. And obviously, as we all know, not to beat the proverbial dead horse, I just don't have a lot of time. So I'll bring this content to you as soon as I can. Most likely, it's going to be on a weekly basis. Maybe even bi-weekly, just depending on how busy my personal life is. Real quick, hardware that I'm using, aside from the computer, is the Huion Kamvas 13. And then as far as the software that I'm using is Clipart Studio. And today's music, so this is Panda Beats on YouTube. And as I say, no copyright music. Zero. None. I tell you, none. And obviously, like, comment, and subscribe. As you should. And if anytime you use anybody's, even if it's no copyright, it is just general good practice. Go ahead and subscribe, like their stuff. And of course, once I edit to a YouTube video, I will obviously put Panda Beats Kamvas 13 tablet that I'm using and a website link to Clipart Studio in the description below. We'll work with it. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, let's get on a social banner. Again, this isn't really a art lesson. This is just me doing art. So anybody that comes into stream, fire off some questions if you have them. Other than that, though, I'm just gonna get the drawing. I'm just gonna get the drawing, baby. We have one more girl head to do. Gotta get that head, girl. It's terrible. It's terrible. Oh my God. All right, so we got, is that the final? Yes, it is final. Okay, we can pop that off real quick. Let's go ahead and get right on in here. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain a few things while we're going through the essentially fast-forwarded version of this. I thought it was a little pretentious, a little boring, dramatic to just try and edit out in the video what best to do here and how best to explain some things that are happening. And I just like, you know what? I'll just record some things and go through it. So Initially tried to find some brush sizes that were going to work for me because I fucking forgot what brush size I even used because I hadn't touched this in so long. And essentially from here, I'm just developing the hair, starting to get that final line art done, making sure that I can essentially get back on track and just get through that process. As if you haven't watched the line art video right here to learn how to do clean line art, just click on that link right there, or a link in the description below. Watch that video. It's good stuff. And so as far as right here, I'm just kind of, again, getting the final line art done, going through the eyebrows, cleaning up everything, doing my passover lines. And so now when I do eyeballs, I typically go with a thicker line art because typically with anime eyes, as we all know, they have some very thick, essentially eyeliner, but whether that be male or female, it doesn't really matter. They all have fairly larger or thicker lines that they use in anime to make the eyes a good focal point for your art. In this particular girl, I decided to do something different for all 4 girls. Every single one of them has a different nose, different eyebrows in the way, shape, or form, different facial structure and feature. The 2 girls in the middle here, their cheeks are like pushed and pressed up against each other. And then I decided to give the first girl like some really basic cartoony lips, and then this girl here, I went like a weird cartoon semi-realistic lip or something like that. And so yeah, I just had a lot of fun just working with each of these heads and just kind of developing some weird stuff, obviously doing some drooly marks and things like that, just really going into some degeneracy and essentially again having some just cartoon nonsensical fun. And working on this was pretty crazy. I haven't really done like a weird like collab like this before, where essentially I'm, you know, taking 4 different heads and pushing them together. Like this is some sort of concept that I came out with just randomly. I did want to do it a little differently though. I wanted to actually draw full bodies, full female bodies, and doing all sorts of things, but I thought it was going to be a little too cluttered and it wasn't really going to send the message I really wanted. And so I'm just like, you know what, let's do something stupid simple. Let's do something that just, who cares whether it's right anatomically or not. This isn't that, right? This is supposed to be something that's bullshit, just something to put on my banner. This is all, and that's what this is. This is a banner for all social media. So that's what the 4 girls represent and their pills that represent. So the first one is YouTube, the next one is Twitch, the other one is Kick, and the other one is Instagram. And so essentially I am just throwing out there in some weird, wacky, cartoony, satire, degenerate way of letting you know what social platforms you can find me on. And so from here on out, again, we are finishing up that final line art. I didn't actually know if I wanted to continue her hair on that one side there because I wasn't sure. And as we see with this, puddling up the word Zipsaw, that was also something pretty fun. I was just like, I don't know if I could pull this off because the perspective of a puddle, I didn't really have any like, I don't have any perspective lines. I don't have a floor. I don't have anything like that's telling me, oh, this is where that puddle should go. How flat, essentially, that word should be on the floor. So, working to make Zipsaw as a drool puddle look like a drool puddle and obviously be able to be legible so that way you could read it and understand what it says, that was definitely a challenge with this particular art piece here. And yeah, that, you know, see, I even drew like the perspective lines and I was explaining it at this point in time. Like, I'm just like, I have no idea if this pops up this way, but you just kind of have to use your feelings on the matter. And by this point in time, essentially the line art is done. It is complete. I think it looks fantastic. And when it comes to line art, like I've said before, and of course, the video I mentioned teaching you about line art, I believe that even if I didn't color this piece, this was something that obviously just would have caught the eye anyways, but it needed to be colored. It needed to have that extra personality with it. And so that's what we're basically going to be doing, is going into the coloring aspect of this very soon. And here I'm actually going over like how you can set up the custom palettes. So I have a skin palette, I have a hair palette, and essentially, although I drew with my shadow color, but I was just pointing out that instead of trying to find that color again all over and be like, oh, what color did I use? And you have to open up a previous art piece, and maybe the real color is blended in now and it's not actually the color you first used and stuff like that. That's essentially why I create my own palettes. So I have my own skin palette and I have a hair palette. And yes, they are always going to be, and I draw always in the same colors and stuff like that. But because I can use the hue, tonal correction, and saturation and brightness slider, I can change the color of everything. And so these colors are not final. They're just basically imprints and getting things going on and getting things on the canvas, and then I will alter it later. And you can see the brief menu there. That was the tonal correction slider, and I'm changing the colors around and making sure that, like, okay, I like the skin tone of this girl. And I thought about like doing different types of skin tones, but in the reality of things, this is supposed to be just some degenerate cartoon anime action, so I didn't really care to alter the skin tones at all. It is what it is. And now, as far as this is concerned, I'm putting the initial shadow drop on all of the hair strands. Again, this is an anime thing. This is what all anime do. That's what they do. They do what they do. And so going through the initial first layer of shadowing, and then I'll go through the second layer of shadowing, making the places that are further away from you darker, and then I'll proceed to make flashing and so on and so forth. And so that purplish light there is the flash. You'll typically want like a bluer tone, so more cooler for flash points. Obviously, if you have a background light that is warm, then you want to do that. Now, of course, I'm doing the actual true anime, what do you want to call it, hair highlight that all anime have, and then I gave a little brightness from taking the skin tone. So I'll actually use the eyedropper tool and pick the skin tone and then make a separate layer and make it a glow layer. Take my soft airbrush and I'll brush around the face. And what'll happen with the hair is it kind of highlights it a little bit. And as you see here, like we painted it essentially, or filled it in with that brown color, but because I can tonal shift everything, I can make any color so long as I do not use grays. I use black, no black, whites, or grays. So that whole spectrum cannot be used. If you want to achieve that, you have to use a color. So pick anything, really. I choose a natural, like brunette color, because that's just, if I do decide to do a girl with that brunette color, then so be it, I'm already done. But I can tonal correct everything, and the colors will synergize with each other. So no matter how I shift things, it should make sense. And then as we see here, I'm fill up the eyes and the tongue. Again, we're just trying to keep basics. Like I only use like 2 or 3 different colors max. Some things I'll do like a gradient. So like the tongue, that was 3 colors. The main color, a dark color, a highlight, and then we got a little bit darker color, so that would be 4 colors there. And as far as inside of her mouth, I did do the initial color. I did a hard shadow. You might be able to see that hard shadow there, and then a little bit darker, and used my soft airbrush and just drew from the back of her mouth forward, so that way it created a gradient. So it looked like, obviously if you stare into someone's mouth, it gets darker and darker and darker, kind of like a cave or something like that. Now working on the collar, again, keeping things as simple as possible, making it make sense with the shading. Obviously, the further back you go, the darker you need to get. And so now I'm filling in the pill at this point in time. I want to use the actual colors of the logos that were for the social media. And now I'm painting the pills and going over top of those with a proper shadow and a highlight. That's it. a shadow, and a highlight. That's all that's on that. And then I want to go a little extra though, so I decided to do a little bit of, I guess you could say like metallic or metal work or something like that. I do like working and making things look like it's a steel plate or just metal in general. And so I was like, well, that's kind of cool. We'll do that. Because I didn't want to have the icon and the pill like match in colors and then have to try and differentiate them in some way, shape, or form. Like, fuck that. We'll just make that thing metal. Because I was actually kind of inspired from the fact that you could, you know, when people get their, what the hell you call it, the fucking YouTube thing, for so many subscribers, it's like a silver play button. That's where that inspiration came from. And now I'm trying to figure out my glows. I just didn't know what to do. I don't work with this stuff that often, and so I'm like, do I put it in front? Do I put it in the back? Do I just go over top of everything? I ultimately did decide that, you know what, this is too much work. And it's true. This is just too much work, and it's not doing what I want it to do. The glow isn't right. You can see where the glow kind of cuts off when I'm fucking with it. And so I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm over it. So I went up to the top and I started actually physically drawing in a glow. Then I Gaussian and blurred it, took a white or near white coloring, and then I went around it and created a really good glow effect. And so now I'm just kind of putting like some tendrils. I'm trying to add some design because really these pills were meant to be focused on. This is one of the primary focus points. Other than the girls themselves, the girls were secondary. The pills were actually primary. So if you were focusing on the pills this whole time, then what I have done was achieved, or what I was trying to achieve has been achieved. And so I go through each one, I make a separate like paint line for the tendrils, and then I go back through it again after Gaussian blurring them, and then I'll put that light pink or white color and go through the middle of it, and it creates a really cool, a nice tight. That's the part right there I really want. A tight glow, kind of like a lightsaber or something like that, where there's not a bunch of glow everywhere and whatever. I also make sure to highlight her tongue as well with that pinkish, you can see that probably off in the left there, that pinkish, bright pink color, and highlight her tongue, so because that's, you know, it's glowing, so you do have to be conscious of light a little bit. Did I have to do that? Probably not. No one would have gave a shit, but I did it anyways because I know that technically it should go there. And now I'm starting on the second girl. Essentially, it's all the same type of concept. Since the first girl is in front of the second girl, her whole left side of her face is going to be much darker. It's going to be hidden by her a little bit, and so we're just going through the same paces, right? We're doing that initial coloring, we're getting it down there. I'm tonal correcting, as you can see here. I'm like, okay, do I want a little bit more peach? Do I want a little bit more darker? Again, I was trying to think about, do I want to go with a different skin tone than the other girl and just do different skin tones for them all, right? Be inclusive, you know? But no. I just decided to just do the same fucking thing for all four of them. So, again, getting the blush down, doing the hair just as I explained before, getting that initial base coat. Then we're going to do light shadows, heavy shadows, and then we are going to do our flash points and then highlights. So there's a little bit more, of course, that's involved with hair. Also, I forgot to mention, sometimes I'll put like highlighted strands of hair. You can kind of see it on this first girl here, where there's just one pen line of a highlighted hair. And do I need to do that? No, it's just a flavor thing. It's something that I do with a lot of my work. And so as you see here, I'm going through the darker shadows. So I got the initial light shadow, darker shadow. Now I'm putting highlights on. I probably will throw flashing in at some point in time. Maybe I don't remember. That one little strand of hair there, I was like, well, it's not going to be completely highlighted because it is its own thing. And a cool little tip there is, you know, using the soft eraser on highlights. And essentially, wherever my light source is, I'm going to fade that highlight away from, and I really like the way that her hair came out. Looks really good. But fade that highlight away from the light source. So that's kind of like a semi-realism thing. And I also tried to balance this out too with the other two girls. So the next one that's next to her, the light essentially kind of like up above her, essentially. And from that point, you know, and then the last girl on the right there has the opposite of these two, where the light is actually on this side and it fades as it goes this way. So trying to be conscious of light, even though I said multiple times during this, like, I just don't give a shit. Her eyes turned out pretty cool. There was all sorts of colors that I could have picked. I mean, really anything would have worked, but I was trying to be synergetic, trying to make these colors work well with each other. And that's another good thing about the hue, saturation, and brightness slider in Clip Art Studio is, like, you can test all of these colors and things, and it just will look really good. You can find the combinations that work well for your artwork. And so this was the first part. I had to take a break. It was too long. I mean, I was already at 3 hours at this point in time, so I had to take a break. So I came back later on that day, and essentially I just picked up where I left off. So we're hitting it back. We're getting her gums done on the second girl here, getting her teeth filled in, and you know, finding out like the shadows for teeth is also something that you have to take into consideration too. And really everything, right? Everything that you do involves lighting in some way, shape, or form. And you just have to use, I would like to say common sense. There is common sense involved, but in the reality of things, you just kind of have to feel for it. Like, you have to imagine, like, especially with like her lips, like her lips are in front of her teeth. And so wherever her lips are, there should be a small cast shadow on top of her teeth. And from that, you'll have depth. And that's what you're trying to create with shadows. That's the whole idea behind shadows, is getting that depth feel, the feeling that there is something behind something or in front of something. And as you see here, I was also trying to find the right colors. I want to match the colors that they actually use for all of their logos, so that way it's the best representation of that. And I did lighten up the actual logo of Twitch itself because I wanted it to be, again, like the YouTube pill, be differentiated between, so that way you didn't lose it in the artwork. And so now all I'm doing is doing just the same thing. A shadow, a highlight on the pill. This was a really cool idea. I wanted some smoke coming out of the pill. I think it turned out wonderful. I'm not sure if it's fully realized with the final artwork itself, but when we're not working with a background predetermined at this point in time, we have just a white background, so clearly everything's going to look pretty good. Same concept with like a full black background too. So yeah, the smoke idea was, you know, mwah, chef's kiss. Now I'm working on a scrunchie. I didn't know what color I wanted her scrunchie to be at first. Obviously, again, man, it's one of the most important tools that you have. Not only is the lasso tool one of the most important tools as an artist you have, but the hue, saturation, and brightness slider as well. Just, you can change your entire art piece with that slider and just get the colors that you want, get everything that you need, and really apply exactly what you were after with your art piece. So that's the second girl. She's done. Now we're on to the crazy third girl here. Yeah, she's just mushed up against the other girl. She's not touching the fourth girl though, but she's, you know, they're like pressing together. And the reason why I did this, you might not know, but Twitch and Kick are essentially the same thing, right? And most people be like, well, no, duh, they're the same thing. It's, you know, they do streaming services and stuff. No, literally Amazon has both of them. If you didn't know that, Twitch and Kick are essentially the same thing. Same company, same everything, same overlords. They just operate in a slightly different way. And, you know, welcome to Monopoly of America, right? It's not corporate. It's not capitalism. It's just simply one person owns everything. Kind of like with your sunglasses, like Oakley's, Ray-Ban, Maui Jim, and there's another one too. All of them, all right, all four of those sunglasses owned by one person. Yeah. You thought there were different sunglasses? No, they're actually owned by the same person, same company. So again, same concept, right? Taking that brunette color that's in my custom-made color palette, and doing the same thing over and over again. When you do pick a style, be consistent. That's something that you absolutely should be doing, is being consistent. Make your highlights the same way. Make the hair the same way. Using that slider, getting that green hair for kick, all that stuff, right? Yeah, and I forgot her hair tendrils down there. So I manually put those in, but again, that's not a focus point. You probably didn't even know those fucking hair strands were even there until I mentioned it just now. And or in my final art piece, if you viewed my final art piece before watching this video. And that just goes into the whole point of focusing. You're not focused on that. You're not supposed to be focused on that. No one should give two shits about those 2 strands of hair hanging down. It's not the point of the art piece. And I think a lot of artists, they go too far deep into their head and they're just like, oh, man, now I gotta redo this thing. And just take a look at a lot of famous artworks, or even like some of your most famous or most favorite artists, and dive in deep into their work, and you'll start seeing all sorts of mistakes. You'll start being like, well, that actually doesn't make sense. You'll be like, well, what's that? What's this? It's exactly that. You have to be able as an artist to draw yourself back and just understand no one's probably going to give 2 shits about most of what you're doing. A lot of people only care about the end product. They want to see what you made. And so all of this coloring, all of this doing this stuff, it overall, the big picture, it looks good. It's good shit. People are going to be like, yeah, I like that. That's pretty fucking solid, dude. And they're going to completely glaze over and miss the mistakes that you made. And that's the end of the story. Again, going into the eye, her eyes were, of course, much more unique because of the heart thing. And I'm just doing this from memory at this point. I didn't use any references for any of this, actually. So pat on my back on that one. I didn't use any references for this. This is completely from the brain. I just remember that you do see some hearts in the eyes of some anime chicks and stuff like that with the Ahagio faces. So that's just my own personal rendering of it. Did I do it right? Again, who the fuck cares? I did it the way that I did it. I did miss a chat, as you see here. I don't know if I've explained this yet, but I did miss someone's chat. Shit happens when you're, as far as an artist is concerned, especially someone that isn't well known like myself, and I don't have anybody that views the streams or anything like that. Yeah, I'm gonna miss you. I'm sorry. I did my best though. I did reply. I was hoping he did come back. So if I do miss you in chat, I apologize. I don't mean it. I'm just stuck in the sauce with my artwork. Now with the kick pill here, same concept as the YouTube pill. Same thing, except for I was doing a little electric things like little sparks and stuff like that coming off of it. I was going to be a little bit more prevalent, but I think it would have taken away from the other pills, and so I didn't do the lightning bolts and the little sparks coming off of the pill. Had a lot of Ben 10 vibe on this shit. I think I even mentioned that in this video. A lot of Ben 10 vibe, and then creating like little static points where like it's like trickling onto her tongue and shit like that, adding the glow and making it look like, you know, her tongue's getting shocked by the kick pill. I think that was a pretty neat idea. Execution wise, I think I did all right. Whatever's going on with that pill isn't detracting from the other pills, and I think I did a really good balance. I think if there was anything, the 2 end girls and their pills probably warrant much more focus than the ones in the middle, because the YouTube pill I think has the best glow effect. This one here, which is the Instagram girl, I think her pill has probably a very loud effect afterwards because it radiates highlights and stuff like that, which we'll see shortly. And again, going through the thing now, initially I made her neck too dark, and I started realizing this too, and I was just like, man, it's just bothering me. And I wasn't going to let it bother me, but eventually I just, after a tonal corrected this, I think very shortly from this point forward, I went back through and I absolutely redid it. Now, her face was at a different angle than the other girls too, so I actually had a different perspective. I had some sort of like crazy idea about how her blush is supposed to be. I didn't really have an idea of how her blush was supposed to be, so I just did my best. And of course I corrected her neck, as you see there, so it's no longer, it looks a lot better. So it's no longer just one solid dark piece. And that's something too that you had to take in consideration of the necks of your characters. Yes, the neck, as you can even see my neck right now, is darker than my face, and there is a darker shadow underneath that. So the necks of your anime characters are, for the most part, always going to be darker than the face. So just use that first shadow, get that neck done, and then do one other darker shadow as a thinner shadow underneath to note where the chin comes off away from the neck. And there you go. There's some hints there. Same as usual at this point. Coloring with that brunette color, doing the flash points, all the things. Got the highlight points. We're putting those in right now. I take an eraser tool and I just kind of make some lines through that. Obviously, like I said, her fade from her highlight is on the opposite end as the other ones. Again, trying to create a light balance. And then I did do a little bit of a gradient flash there. Should I have? I don't know. I actually had a lot of fun with her hair though, because I was trying to match up that color scheme of the actual Instagram logo, because it's like this weird orange, purple, red. And so my personal thought, I knew exactly what I was going to do. There's a gradient tone in the tonal correction edit area where you can pick a sunset. I think it's called sunset. And it has the colors of Instagram on it. So I used the sunset gradient for her hair, and I also did it for her pill too. And going through her eyes and stuff like that, again, is just, I try to figure out what I wanted to do. Did I want to do like a brighter eye? Did I want it to be unique? I think because her eyes are like wide open, and obviously her pupils are smaller because of like a surprise or shock look or something like that. I just kept it simple, much more simpler than the other girls. And then her lips were also kind of a chore. Obviously this stuff is fast forward, so you can imagine how long I spent on just that fucking lip alone, because I didn't know like what fucking color would go well with her. And it you know what, hey ladies, respect, okay? Putting on makeup, it must be a bitch. And so I ultimately went with like this matte blue color. It was by accident that I found that matte blue color, and I was just like, you know what, that works, we'll work with that. And I think it turned out just fine. And so there you go, working on collar, doing the stuff there, basic shading. I put a little bit of flash behind that. If you do flashing manually like this and not relying on your flash color that you picked for your hair, use a more gray blue somewhere in the middle there. I could probably teach you, and if you're interested, of course, about anything, learning about how to do any of this stuff, by all means, let me know in the comments below. That just gives me more ammunition to make the videos that you are looking to know about and learn from. Then I'm going through the drool stuff, the drool, sweat, and tears. I decided to make it all the same color. I did, if you want a little bit of a secret, I did want to go back through my final line art and like paint over it with a color. So all that black line art that you see for the drool, I was actually going to go over it with white. And that way it made it more drooly, made it more of a highlight and stuff like that. But you know what? I was so fucking tired by this point in time. I just said fuck it. So now, as you see here with the pill, I am grayscaling it. And the reason being is that when the gradients come out, gradients work with grayscale. So essentially you're coloring with gray, as you see here. And so I was messing with that sunset that you see there and that gradient there. And eventually I found the color. I started using the hues and saturations. I was like, what color do I make this pill? And obviously I settled on a good color. I think it was a good contrast against her tongue. I did the manual things, and then I was going to do like 3 bands, but I went with just 2 because I started to notice, I'm like, that's too much. Like that pill is going to be much more of a focus point than the other pills. And like I said, this is already more of a focus point in my personal opinion than the other pills, just because there is a lot more going on here. Ultimately decided to do more of a yellowish color, more of like a color, and it's got twinkles and sparkles and things like wow, what a pill. And that's, again, like there's a lot going on with that pill, more than the other pills as far as that's concerned. And so I thought it was a pretty good focal point. And yeah, so by this point in time, I'm just so freaking tired. I'm starting to feel it. Like, we are nearing the end. We are getting so close. I'm just like, I had to take a mental break, but now we're working on Zipsaw. Typically, now this is a good hint, typically when you want to highlight something like a water source or something like that, start with a dark color. Start with a dark color and then start applying lighter colors on top of it. And Bob Ross taught this stuff with his paintings. He used to always say, work dark to light. Always work dark to light. Because essentially you will have a really good gradient. You're basically making your own gradient. And as far as water is concerned, I think I did pretty good. Obviously, this is supposed to be drool. I put some random bullshit like soft airbrush lines through it just to, I don't fucking know, to be honest with you. I just did it to do it. I let my brain just do whatever it wants. So now I'm trying to figure out the background. Oh my fucking god, did I spend so much time on this. Oh man. Oh, did it piss me off. It pissed me off so much to do this background. Because I wanted to do like the little dot things, like how the dots are really thick and then they get smaller and smaller as they go up, and I didn't know what the hell it was called. I was so like, just like, oh my fuck, what is this thing called? I think it was called vector tones, and you're toning the layer, and basically you're pixelating it in some way, shape, or form. I don't really know the technicality of it, but I know it's a very popular shading thing right now, and since it is popular, I wanted to try it because maybe I want to continue to do it with my other art pieces from here on out until a new trend hits or something like that. But as you see here, like I was so close. I was figuring it out. I'm like, oh my god, there's the dots. I have the dots. Is that it? But it wouldn't color the dots. Why aren't the dots getting colored? Like, there it is right there, the halftone vectors shit bullshit going on there. I was like, how the hell do you do this? I had to do my research. And of course, I wanted to show that. I wanted you to know that I don't fucking know everything. No one knows everything. I'm not a professional artist, and in most regards, I think I'm a mediocre artist. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out how the hell do I do this stuff? And eventually, but you see, if I wasn't as tired as I was, I would have figured this out a long time ago, that the fucking layer properties was just a little bit, just hey Zipsaw, just look up a little bit, bro. If you just look up, you'll see the layer properties. You'll see it right there. And it took me forever to I finally found it. Finally found it. There it is. Eureka! We got it. And then I was like, can I paint on it? Can I make colors out of it? Can I do the things? What do I have to do? And I eventually learned that I had to rasterize the layer. So once I rasterized the layer, I was able to then just color it the way I wanted it to be colored. I still am not very familiar. As you see here, I'm kind of like fucking with it a little bit with colors because I just wasn't 100% sure how you color this shit. Like, is the background a thing? Is it the dots? Is the whole thing a thing? Like, I still don't even know right now. I have to do more research on this stuff, but eventually I was able to make a colored, and I found out that I can make like cool little designs and stuff like that. So essentially I'm just practicing now, right? I'm like, what can I do with this stuff? And I was so happy that colored. Knowing that colored meant that I could finally do the thing I want to do and create the thing I want to create. And so, yeah, I was doing the background stuff. This was my initial assessment. I'm like, well, this seems to be what I need to be doing. And then now it's just a matter of tonal correction. And again, since this is something brand new that I have personally never done before, obviously I'm doing my best to just make it look good. There are so many colors to choose. Like, you can see the rainbow of colors that I could have picked. Some of them are probably catching your eye, like, ooh, don't stop right there. That's a good color. Dude, I was doing this all night. And I finally decided on like a cutesy pink color. I actually stuck on that for a little bit. You'll see me continually go back to it. It kept catching my eye because it's feminine. You know, it's kind of like a girl power thing, right? And all these girls are doing the things, and so I'm like, let's keep up with the cute theme. There you go. Let's have a good day. Essentially, at this point in time, I'm putting on the final touches and just taking a step back. And then after that, I was done. I was like, okay, let's see what the speed draw looks like. And so I did a 60-second speed draw, which of course you can see it on my YouTube channel if you want to see the speed draw of this. I have it on my Instagram as well. And that's it. That is the finished product. Good stuff. And so with that all being said, though, I really appreciate anybody who watched this video. I appreciate anyone who has subscribed to the channel. I think I have over 200 subscribers now, which is phenomenal. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll catch you on the flip side with some more artwork. This is your host, Zipsaw, with Zipsaw Art. You have yourself a good day, baby.